there is a way to heal your acne without relying on birth control, without spending so much money on all these topicals that work for a little bit of time, but then they stop working. We really have to unearth the root cause of the acne. Healing your acne isn't quick. It's not easy. It's not linear, but it is possible, and it is so, so worth it. Hello, welcome back to another episode of She's in Sync, the podcast for women looking to have a safe and confident transition off birth control and learn how to heal their hormones naturally. Today, we're going to be talking about 5 unsexy truths about healing your acne. And this is for the woman who, like myself, has acne-prone skin. You've probably tried all of the different things: elimination diets, spironolactone, tretinoin, Accutane, um, expensive facials, a stellar skincare routine. You probably drink a lot of water. You clean your pillowcases. You're working on stress management. You're doing literally everything right, but you keep struggling with acne. And I know exactly how frustrating that can be because that was me. And I'd always struggled with acne. And when I stopped birth control, I struggled with post pill acne. That was the worst it had ever been and the least controlled it had ever been for 4 years. And that is really what inspired me to open my private practice, because I left my dermatologist's office crying because when I basically exhausted all my options, she basically told me, hey, you just might have to go back on birth control to control your acne. And I felt really stuck of like, I knew that that wasn't a solution at that point, but I didn't know what else to do. And so that's what really spurred my passion for helping other women. And of course, I treat period issues, painful missing periods, mood issues, PMS, all that. And I will say helping women heal their acne is very near and dear to my heart because that is a huge piece of my own story and something that I know from personal experience how frustrating and how confidence wrecking it can be. And I just want to get more information out there to women to know that there is another way. There is a way to heal your acne without relying on birth control, without spending so much money on all these topicals that work for a little bit of time, but then they stop working. We really have to unearth the root cause of the acne. And today we're going to dive into that, but we're going to talk about the things that people aren't talking about when it comes to a root cause healing for your acne. Because I've talked before in the podcast of, the fancy lab tests and the protocols and all that kind of stuff. And those things are great. And this is really a journey. And this applies not only with acne, but with root cause healing as a whole. When you stop relying on birth control, think about how long you've been struggling with your acne, right? Like most of my clients, like myself, this isn't something new. They've been struggling with it for a really, really long time. And like I said, they've exhausted a lot of options. They've spent thousands of dollars. They've seen so many different doctors, functional, conventional dermatologists without answers. And it can be really not just frustrating, but it can be really easy to fall for trends on TikTok, and you're literally desperate. I know I was at my lowest of lows. I went on this really restrictive elimination diet, which was scary for me because of my history with disordered eating. That can be triggered like that. And I was like, well, if this will help me clear my acne, like I'm all in. Like I need this. And it didn't, because it didn't get to the root cause. So again, we want to set realistic expectations of how this healing journey will look. And that's something I'm very transparent with my clients about because it's not linear and it takes time. So the truth though is it is possible. Healing is 100% possible. You just have to be willing to accept some hard truths that most people don't want to talk about out loud, but I want to, because I want you to know this. And just like with everything else, have informed consent, be educated, have body literacy so that you know what you're going into and you are not thrown another curveball or expecting something to happen faster than it might. So the first truth we will talk about is, I already just mentioned a few of these, but healing acne takes time. This is with anything, right? But acne, the more I've learned about acne, the more I'm like, this is just such a complicated diagnosis. Like it is so complicated because there are so many underlying factors with acne: gut, minerals, poor detoxification, inflammation, stress. The list goes on and on. And so we really need to figure out what are your root causes that are driving your acne, because acne is not the issue itself. It's something else. And so we're just chasing symptoms if we're just slathering on an expensive cream or doing facials and not addressing those internal issues. So for me, I will share my timeline with healing my acne was on the longer side. So I would say I didn't see very many results until about 9 months in my root cause healing journey. So after I did all the functional lab testing, I really dug into, replenishing my minerals, working on my stress, fixing my gut. There was a ton of gut stuff that I found in my GI map, my comprehensive stool test that I do with all my clients. And that's crazy because I didn't have any gut symptoms, which goes to show it's really hard to figure out what's going on unless you have the lab data based on your body. And so I did all of that stuff and was doing everything. I'm a rule follower, I'm a type A. So I was doing all the things right. But really, I didn't see big shifts in my skin at all. In fact, I would say I saw minimal improvements in my skin, which was so frustrating because it made me think, am I still not hitting the nail on the head? Is there something that I'm still missing? So I really relied on a lot of my support system. And I would say I relied a lot on women who I met through business coaching, who they had their own history with chronic skin conditions, whether it's acne, eczema, psoriasis, or they had other health issues that they dealt with because they understood it's a journey and it takes time. And with skin specifically, oftentimes skin is one of the last things to change. Oftentimes we see improvements in energy, in sleep, in our period health, for example, before we see changes to our skin, which is great. But when your main goal is to clear your acne and you've been dealing with it for so long, that can be really challenging to get your mindset right. So it wasn't until about 9 months of doing all the things, following my own root cause protocol I made for myself based on my customized lab data, that I started to see changes in my skin. And I distinctly remember it was when my skin was just clearer overall. Like it just was like one day I was like, oh, like I'm not waking up and there's not like bumps, that I'm feeling when I'm washing my face. And I went with a girlfriend. We went on like a weekend getaway somewhere and we drank a little bit, we ate out. It was a little bit different than what I normally would do. And I expected to come back and to break out because that typically is what would happen. I would, eat differently, drink more, etc., and I would break out afterward. But I didn't. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. This is cool. Like this. And that continued for a couple months after. And I will say, like, I still get breakouts because I have acne prone skin. Like, that is something, if you have acne prone skin, that is your body's way of talking to you. And I'm going to record a whole nother podcast episode about my recent development with my skin and retinol and how I went through the retinol uglies, they call it. It's retinol purging. But overall, I do not have nearly as many breakouts as I did, and they heal much quicker. They're a lot smaller, and all of those are really good signs. But it took me 9 months to start seeing changes, and I'm still on my acne healing journey. I'm a longer, more complicated case just because I have dealt with it for my entire life, and there was a lot of imbalances. So women who I work with, they want results quickly. And we'll talk about this later. It's super emotional. It's not just a skin thing. It's very emotional and mental to have acne. And I get it, right? Like I totally get that. So once we do the labs, we oftentimes uncover so many things that women are like, oh my gosh, I had no clue that was going on. or like this makes so much sense. So you want to set realistic expectations. Typically, clients experience success and when I say success with acne, I'm talking about what I was saying, like less breakouts, smaller, faster healing time, those types of things. Oftentimes, I would say the majority of my clients, it's 6 to 12 months is when they start to see real improvements, sustained improvements with their skin. I will share that a lot of times people experience quick wins once they start minerals, supporting vitamins and minerals. And then when we get into some other protocols, there might be some purging just with the things that we're doing, which leads me to my next point is that healing is not linear. We start root cause healing and we get all this fancy, sexy lab data, right? And we're like, okay, great. Like I finally have answers. And that takes a huge weight off of us. Like whenever I'm doing a lab review with women, they're like, oh my gosh, thank goodness there's something wrong with me. Because I kept thinking like, there's nothing wrong with me and we're not going to find anything. And so that is just so helpful. We like to joke a lot of my clients. I'm like, yeah, yay, there's something wrong with you. Because they've gone years thinking like, I'm just broken. Like no one can figure out what's wrong, but like I'm still struggling with acne. So there are things, again, you just have to run the right labs and have the right person looking at your labs. But with healing, it's common for things to get better and then for things to get worse, for things to get better, for things to get worse. And then eventually we hit that stride of going up where it's sustained progress. And this doesn't mean that you're never going to have a breakout again, right? Again, that's where your body is talking to you. Whenever I get a breakout now, I think, okay, I get curious. I don't judge. I'm just like, okay, what is this telling me? Right? Am I more stressed? Like I have a breakout right now on my chin. And it's because last week was really, really stressful. I did not, prioritize my nutrition. I was very stressed. I didn't do a good job of prioritizing stress management. Friday, I ate a snack versus it being like appropriate sized lunch because I was running around. And I know what happened, right? Like that is on me. And so now I know, and my body's responding, being like, Taylor, that's not good. Like prioritize your health, prioritize your nutrition, prioritize your stress. Like, here's your reminder. For other people, their reminder is, period cramps or missing period or mood swings or hangriness. Like we all have our own signals from our body of it telling us and waving a red flag of like, hey, like I'm telling you to like look at this and pay attention to this. Like this is something that's happening. Like I said too, it can be very common to have some initial wins with mineral support and then for purging to happen after that. I saw that with myself and then I've seen that with clients. And when you start a specific protocol, for example, like a gut killing protocol, or sometimes with iodine protocols, sometimes clients experience some initial purging from that because with gut killing, for example, we're stirring up bacterial overgrowth and we have to, your body has to eliminate that. And one of our detox organs is our skin. We also want to make for sure that we're not moving too fast and it's not purging too much, right? Like your detox pathways aren't overburdened. And that's where we have to take a holistic approach. We can't just dive into a gut protocol right away without making sure your detox pathways are open, making sure your liver's supported, you have enough minerals to manage that stress. And that is normal to sometimes have purging with that. And there are things that we talk about too, in terms of even if it's not purging, just it takes, I'm not an esthetician, but I believe I've heard from estheticians, I might be botching this a little bit, but around 3 months is your skin cycle. So your skin, cycles on like a 3-month timeline. So if you break out now, it's likely not from a couple of days ago. It might have been triggered by a couple of days ago with like inflammation or whatnot, but it's probably been there for at least, a couple months. And now it's just now coming to the surface. So we're unearthing months or years of breakouts that were already there. And sometimes things can get worse before they get better because we might be going through a protocol, like I said, or things might just be moving in your body, right? Like eating enough, you're nourishing your body, your liver is supported, your gut's supported. And so it's doing its job to detoxify what was stored in the skin for who knows how long. But it's really worth it because, you know, it's worth the wait because this is real lasting results. It's not a quick fix and it's not something that's just going to like work for a little bit of time and then go back to the way it was. Healing isn't linear, it takes time, but that, the ups and downs, it's important to trust the process. And that's where having support and someone who's been through it and someone who's worked with a bunch of women to heal their skin is so, so helpful. So, we don't talk about this a lot, but the mindset around healing, that's something I had to do a lot of work on for myself and talk to women about because it is easy to freak out when, you're doing all of these things, you've invested in this, and then you feel like your skin isn't getting better. It makes you second guess. It makes you feel like, okay, well, this isn't working. Here's another thing that's not going to work for me, or go back to old belief patterns of like, I'm broken, I'm going to have acne forever. But knowing that this is part of the process is really helpful and really encouraging. And it doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. It's just a part of the journey, the healing journey. The other thing I want to shed light on is truth number 3, it can be expensive to heal your acne. And we have to, with acne, take an internal and an external approach. Just doing one or the other is doing you a disservice. So a lot of women, by the time they get to me, have not explored internal root cause healing, right? Where we look at the gut, the minerals, detox, etc. They've been mostly taught, or they've, gone the conventional route of doing the topicals or, spironolactone, Band-Aid medications like birth control to quote unquote fix their acne. But those things don't get to the root cause. We have to combine the internal imbalance, healing those internal imbalances with a skilled acne certified esthetician for external support. And there's a couple reasons to this, right? Like we have to get to the root cause of those imbalances, what's causing the acne to begin with. But then acne is also topical because it's a pH issue. People with acne prone skin, we have a different pH of our skin than non-acne sufferers. And we have to be really mindful of our skincare products, our cleaning products, even our shampoos and conditioners. That was something I didn't think twice about until recently. And then I realized, I was like, why am I getting like breakouts? It's always on like this side of my face. And that's usually the side of my face that I like sleep on. And I was like, just digging around, kind of figuring out what it could be. And I came upon, if you have pore cloggers in your shampoo or conditioner. So I switched to a shampoo and conditioner that is free of pore cloggers, and I'll link it below. You can get a 15% discount. I absolutely love Clear Stem. That's the shampoo and conditioner I use now, but I didn't even think about that. People who don't have acne, they don't have to think about those things. We have to pay special attention to what we're putting on our face, of course, like our makeup and skincare routine, but also other things outside of that too, to prevent it from clogging our pores. And you don't want to just go to any esthetician. You want to go to someone who's specialized in treating acne. So I really like Face Reality. They have an acne program. So if anyone is in acne, a Face Reality acne esthetician, that is my go-to. And I have previous episodes linking a resource for you to find an acne certified esthetician, but they are the absolute best. They truly understand acne, and working with them from a topical angle, plus working with me for the internal root cause support is the gold standard. And I put this in here because I get that seeing 2 specialists is expensive, right? Like there's no other way around it. And I have a lot of clients, I don't want to say a lot, but I have some clients who, when they start working with me and I bring this up, they're very resistant to it at first because, they've invested to work with me and they're like, maybe I don't have that money, or I don't see the value in it. I feel like my skincare isn't the issue because I've tried so many products and that hasn't helped or hurt anything. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of coaxing from me and a little bit of just planting those seeds to show them like this is really important for your healing journey. And also beyond just making sure you're not using pore cloggers, but getting routines to help with reducing the redness, to help with evening out texture if you have some of the pick marks from deep acne. When we have less breakouts, sometimes the focus goes towards, oh, well, I have all these red marks. And so doing like chemical peels or microneedling or things like that is so, so important. There are some things we can do from an internal approach with like vitamin A, for example, vitamin C, vitamin E. But if it's truly like those topical things or aesthetic things, that's going to be your esthetician. So, yes, it takes money to invest in both an internal and external approach to healing your acne. But if you put it in a perspective, think about how much money you've spent up until this point. And if you make these investments now, think about how much money you're going to save in the long run. I know for me, I spent over $10,000 trying to fix my acne in 4 years. And it was all a waste of money because I wasn't getting to the root cause. I wasn't seeing the right, estheticians who were acne certified. And it wasn't based on my body. So even though it's an investment, it's something that will save you money in the long term if you find the right people and the right approach. That's personalized. That's important. Truth number 4, it's emotional. Healing your acne is an emotional journey. I know what it's like to wake up and immediately check your face for new breakouts, to run to the bathroom, to, inspect your skin, to cry at night in the mirror or to your partner. I used to, skip going to workout classes or to hot yoga because I'm not wearing makeup to those things because, right, that'll make my skin worse. That'll clog my pores if I wear makeup to those things. But I didn't want to go barefaced because I was so embarrassed by my skin. And it's also painful, like emotionally, but like physically, acne is painful too. And if you have it on your face, if you have it on your back, wherever you have it, the pain also makes you think about it and it just consumes your day, right? Like you're constantly searching for answers and it really it's a hit to your confidence. And so not a lot of people are talking about how it impacts your social life, your relationships. And I just want you to know that if you've ever felt, I have some clients who are like, oh, it's so shallow. Like I shouldn't worry about it. Like I know no one cares. But like it's a legit feeling. If like it's not a vanity thing. It truly is part of emotional well-being is feeling confident in your body. So if you are talking to yourself like that of like, oh, I shouldn't care, like I know there are worse things going on in the world, like stop and just validate yourself of like this is effing hard. Acne sucks. Dealing with acne is so, so hard and you're not alone in that. And another reason why having support from a professional like myself or finding other women who have gone through this journey is so, so helpful because especially when you're going through those ebbs and flows in the healing journey or when it's taking longer than you expected, it can be really quick to go back to that emotional starting place of like, I'm just always going to deal with this. I legit, when I sought birth control, I thought that I was going to deal with acne until I hit menopause, which is such a depressing thought. Before I learned that acne is not the symptom, it's not the problem, it's the symptom. That's what I meant to say. It's not the problem itself, it's a symptom of a deeper problem. We need to figure out what that deeper problem or problems are for you so that you can fix it. And in the meantime, having support of people who have gone through it can be so, so helpful. Jared and my friends without acne, they were definitely supportive and they just don't understand the depth of how acne affects you, right? Like they would say, Jared especially, like he would say, because he's the one I talk to the most, to be honest. There'd be moments I was crying. He was like, I don't even notice it. Like, and we are our own worst critics, right? Like he wasn't lying to me. I know he wasn't lying. And I notice it. And that's okay. So do what you need to do to work on emotionally handling that. But that is very much valid because there's so many ups and downs with it, especially because it takes longer. It's not linear. And, it takes its toll over that time, especially when you've been dealing with it for a very, very long time, years of your life. And last but not least, truth number 5 is that it is worth it. I've mentioned this already, but I want to, I know we didn't talk about super fun things today, but I want to, again, the purpose of this is not to be like a downer. It's to be realistic and to set expectations and so you know what you're walking into. Because if someone would have told me, okay, this might take 9 months or longer, that would have been so nice. I would have just breathed a sigh of relief because I would have known versus just seeing these quick success stories online of like, I healed my acne in 3 months by taking this food out, or, I did this new skincare routine by this influencer and it cleared my hormonal acne for good when nothing else could in, you know, 3 months. We only see those things because people are trying to sell you something, right? Like the purpose of this is not for me to sell you on anything. The purpose of me is to give you hope and to show you like what this journey looks like. It gives you a peek into my world of what my healing journey looked like, what my client's healing journey looks like. And yes, it takes time. Yes, it's emotional. Yes, it is an investment in your health and it is up and down. But when you finally stop guessing and you finally get answers, you get so much relief, so much clarity, so much confidence, and your skin does finally clear. And it's lasting, right? So everyone's timeline is different. I've had clients who they do have those quick wins with their skin, right? Like they do have major skin wins and improvement and their acne cleared in 3 to 4 months after working together. I have other clients who are more like myself, where it's anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And then there are some people, I've had some clients where it's upwards of a year, or sometimes it could be even longer. It just really depends, but that's where having someone who knows, okay, like let's keep going or let's change things. You just need more time or let's fine tune is so helpful versus just blindly going at this alone and guessing and hoping that it works. So just as a recap, healing your acne isn't quick. It's not easy. It's not linear, but it is possible and it is so, so worth it. And so if you are someone, you're listening to this and you're like, Taylor, I've been struggling with acne for my entire life. I was put on birth control to quote unquote fix my acne. Maybe it helped, or maybe it didn't, or maybe I'm ready to get off birth control and I'm terrified of my acne coming back. And I really want to get to the root cause of my acne and I am done with band-aids or quick fixes. Then I'm going to put the link in my bio to if you'd like to hop on a quick call just to chat about my approach. I also have my Breakup with Birth Control Masterclass down there too. It's a really great sneak peek into my approach to root cause healing with hormones, especially when coming off of birth control, or even if you've already come off and you're dealing with acne, it's a great thing to go through because it's still applicable. You're just going to reverse engineer it. And I also share real life case stories too, with a look at their labs, their customized protocols. So it can give you a real life viewpoint, vantage point of what root cause healing looks like. And again, always happy to hop on a call with someone if you're ready to heal your acne for good and to transition off birth control with the clear skin of your dreams. Honestly, how I'm nourishing myself recently is just really tuning in and focusing on the basics. Honestly, I mentioned earlier how last week was just a chaotic week. It was a stressful week, and I did not prioritize my health in the way that I normally do. And so this week, I really wanted to, get back on the foundations. And so sometimes we oftentimes think about what do I need to add? But this week I'm looking at last week and being like, okay, like I was really overwhelmed last week. I was really stressed last week. I didn't prioritize, prepping food. And so I was kind of like scrounging for meals. I even had a smoothie for dinner one night at like 8 p.m. when I didn't have anything or nothing sounded good. So this week I was really intentional with planning out meals for the week. And yesterday I just had to, shut my laptop, and I had planned on working out. But by the end of the day, I was like, I'm just like really tired. Like maybe I should just keep working until dinner. But I was like, no, like I can tell the difference where it would be helpful for me to work out right now. So I just shut my laptop, whatever else I had to do, put to the next day or the next day. And I did a workout, I showered, we had dinner, and I felt much better. So really just going back to the basics of like, prioritizing my nutrition, prioritizing my workouts that make me feel good, making sure I'm going to bed at a decent hour. Those are the things that I'm doing to nourish myself now. So nothing revolutionary, but sometimes when you are coming off of a stressful season or a stressful week or a stressful day, whatever it is, we don't need to burden ourselves with adding things. We need to peel back and offboard things or just focus on the foundations that make us feel the best. And for me, it's eating enough throughout the day, making sure it's easy to have good, delicious meals that I can easily heat up or make, and doing a couple strength training workouts, walking, and yoga throughout the week, and getting enough sleep. Hopefully, this episode was helpful. If you liked it, please share a review on Apple or on YouTube. Put a 5-star review on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. I would really, really appreciate it. It means so much to me to see that. And until next time, stay nourished.